Hello everybody and welcome to NBL Overtime. Sam Froling phones are home, so does Rob Lowe, although it's a home that he's been to before, and plenty going on when it comes to free agency, including what is Ken Bairstow going to do and is Sean Long ever going to sign? And of course the man who, before we get to our very special guest, the man who told us a couple of weeks ago that he's got a source because he works in an office next to another office near another office which doesn't have a sign out the front in Perth, is Corey Homicide Williams, who I'm no longer allowed to call Kerry because he's got burner accounts and people are abusing me on Twitter and want me to drop it.
What?
Yes.
Right?
So hello Kerry, how you doing?
I am fantastic. Burner accounts.
Oh, I don't know, I just assume it was either you or someone close to you, but anyway, either way, welcome. Liam Santa Maria.
How you going?
Hello, mate, how you doing?
I'm good, because we've got Creaky here.
We have our very special guest, and I don't actually know. Of course, you're a South East Melbourne Phoenix marquee player, but you're a net, you're a Timberwolves, you're a Boomer, you're a Long Island net as well, but welcome, mate. Welcome to NBL Overtime.
It's a pleasure to be here. I've been waiting for this opportunity since I was about 3 years old, so I'm really excited to be here today.
That's remarkable. So for 24 years, before you knew the show was going to happen, you were ready for it?
I was ready and prepared.
Now, I got told, and I assume this is 100% correct, that, of course, living in different countries and time zones and all the rest of it, and how busy you are, chasing your dream, but you still have time to, every single week, catch NBL Overtime to find out what's happening in the league. Is that true?
It is not true.
That's what we'll hear from Mitch Creek, and I'm obviously a Melbourne United guy, so but no, mate. No, I will say something seriously. What a whirlwind 12, 15 months it has been for you, mate.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It obviously started with the whole pipe dream of, look, I want to just see where that question gets me of, am I good enough? I turned down the contract in Germany, obviously, and just went away on the back of Exhibit 10, so the training camp offer. Spent 2 months in Brooklyn, working out, and then obviously got cut, and then you're with the G League team, and it's the Long Island Nets, and Will Weaver as a head coach, and from there it was just a matter of doing my processes every single day, just being meticulous about my effort, my attention on and off the court, in every single situation and scenario, and honestly I never knew if I was going to be good enough to get a call up, and obviously with some of the things that actually transpired, it's something that I'll look back on for the rest of my life and kind of pinch myself and say, this actually happened. I was here, I was present, I enjoyed the moment, and I relished the opportunity.
How much confidence did you get those last 2 years in Adelaide? One, there was a minor premiership and a semi-final loss, and then a year later, Game 5 grand final, and you led that team so particularly well and played so well. You talk about finding out if you're good enough. How much confidence did you take from those 2 years in Adelaide where you were towards the top of the ladder and played in big games?
Yeah, look, we had a lot of team success. We did have individual success, like with awards. We had Jerome, who was fantastic and a phenomenal player for us. Then for me to get the MVP in the back of the last year, and then the NBL fans to award me with the fans one, you do feel great about those. But at the end of the day, I'm not an individual success guy. Like, this has been a whirlwind for me, like you said. But it's all about championships and winning games and building a great culture to play around and be in. So, the Game 5 loss was obviously something that absolutely teared me to pieces, and it was hard, but that gave me a lot of fuel on the fire, and I went away and I got better and went to Summer League in Germany and came back and backed myself in and just swung for the hills.
Clearly you don't watch the show because humility is not something that runs through the veins of the NBL Overtime crew, mate, so I believe you now.
Creaky, congratulations, mate, because you have achieved your dream. No matter what happens from now, obviously we all hope that you're back in the association next season, but no matter what happens from now, you'll forever be an NBA player. And the fact that you just said, this is my dream, I'm doing everything, and you laid it out there, you went and looked down the barrel of the camera day in, day out at Summer League and said, I'm putting it all on the line, is inspiring. And so it's been so much fun watching you do that. That last NBA season with Brooklyn and the time with Minnesota, what will be your most treasured moment, your treasured memory, do you think, of what took place over that period of time?
I mean, there's a lot of things that come to mind. There's a lot of things that are real subtle and small, like the simple respect from an NBA coach that comes and watches a game and says, mate, I love who you are and what you're about. When you go to certain places and you meet certain players and, NBA superstars you cross paths with and you say good day to, or, the last game D-Wade played at home, going up to him afterwards and saying, congratulations on a career, you've been an inspiration to me, and him knowing your name and saying something to me, which I've kept very personal and to myself, that I went back to the locker room for an hour and just sat there like, that's a pretty special feeling to see Dirk's last game pretty much, to see players come through to watch some superstars. But that phone call in Brooklyn, the first one, like, I didn't know if I was actually going to stay around in the G League. I looked at going back to Europe. It had been, quite a long time of hearing, hey, you're going to get 10 days, this is going to happen. And then everything that transpired with Dallas and not making it there, it was tough to kind of think, is this going to happen again? And I literally spoke to Marquise, my agent at Mogul, and was like, let's prepare for Germany because let's look at going back there. There's some great money on the table. It's still a great league. I can prove myself, my worth there. I got that call and people have seen the tape and heard me sobbing like a 2-year-old kid that got kicked in the shin and candy stolen from. So I literally was so emotional because everything I sacrificed, like every single thing in my life that I've said, you know what, I'm going to do this instead of this because that's my dream. It was all worth it in that 15, 20-second phone call that Will called me, then that 5-minute phone call that Trajan called me, then Matt Riccardi, and then FaceTiming my family. Seeing 9 people be so excited, like, hey, how's your day going? And me crying, like, oh no, something's up, like, is everything okay? And I kind of spit out what was going on, and then 9 people basically just started crying once on FaceTime. There's a memory that I'll literally cherish for the rest of my life, and something I took screen grabs of, so I've got them saved in my phone. So, yeah, those are some of the things that are at the absolute top of the iceberg for me.
And, of course, you achieved every kid's dream of scoring your first points when the opposition coach nominates you to take a couple of foul shots as well. So
yeah, obviously he'd seen that I'm either a horrible or a very nervous wreck, or I'd actually shot a pretty good percentage this year. I was around 80% for most of the season, which is not too bad. To get that, I actually wasn't aware that was the rule at the time. So
is it NBA history? Has it ever happened ever else in the NBA? Look, you might be the only man in the history of the NBA to have scored his first points that way.
Maybe, but my points per game was
Points per minute?
Yeah.
through the abs. Points per minute was through the roof. So look, I should have subbed myself out and then been like, I'm declaring for the draft right now and use that as my whole bait. But no, it was a surreal moment to even get nominated. I remember tripping, trying to rip my pants off, and I nearly fell over near the bench, running onto the court. And then Ed Davis said something to me cheekishly, and I was like I wasn't already nervous. He then kind of just poured a bit of kerosene on me and then threw a match and was like, good luck. But look, I clanked the first one. It felt horrific. I couldn't feel my hands, couldn't feel my knees, my hips, my feet. All I felt was like nervous energy and butterflies, like I just killed someone's cat and drove off. Like, it was bad. But then the second one went in, and then this utter motionless, weightless feeling just went through my body, and then it was like, you're off. And I was like, don't care. Just go. It was like, I'm good, so we are sweet right now.
Let's talk about the anxiety of not knowing. Talk to us about that. You're not knowing if it's going to work out, if it's not, if I got the 10-day, waiting to sign another one, is the next one happening? Day to day, tell the viewers what's going through your mind.
You have anything as a professional, if you're an honest professional, you doubt yourself, you doubt your teammates, you doubt the work you put in at times, you wonder if the amount of repetitions you did, you worry about the food, the sleep, the water, everything. You worry about certain things. You're like, can I get any more out of this? Can I maximize this? Can I push myself to this? I've tried to sacrifice as much as I can, and not even a sacrifice, it's more of I made better choices because I had a dream that I wanted to achieve one day. So when I took myself over there, and it was 2 months in Brooklyn, then you had pre-season with Long Island, then you play 3 months, you do really well, you hear all the good things that are being said about you, and then to hear for 4 to 5, 6 weeks that, hey, we're going to give you a 10-day, we're going to give you a 10-day, and then not to get it, you kind of like, just tell me if there's a bit of paper here that I have to sign. If not, don't say a word to me about it. Like, let me just be me and be a leader, be a cultural building player, and just be a winner in this team environment and try and be as successful as possible. Then you go home and you've got 4-hour window each day to talk to your family. I didn't know a single person. I didn't know anyone on the team. I was the only white guy on the team for the majority of the season until Zana Musa, who's a fully contracted net, came. You feel lonely and left out at times, and you're like, was this the right choice? Am I good enough to play in the NBA? People say, you're not big enough, you're not quick enough, you're not strong enough, you can't shoot well enough, you're not a good enough ball handler, you don't play out of this, you're out of position. And NBA people say that. Now, I had that my entire life. And I always told them to shove it in the nicest of ways, because it is irrelevant what anyone ever says about anyone else. Unless you believe it, then you're a fool. And the biggest stereotype is that we're okay, we're indestructible, my life's amazing. It was hard, it was scary, I was lonely at times, I wanted to go home, I wanted to be with my friends and my family, I wanted to talk, I wanted to see my dogs. And then you have to go and train and play and get better and develop a culture, being the only international player on that team. Now, the G League's a pretty selfish league in the whole, and we had, without doubt, one of the most selfless teams I've ever played on anywhere in the world, Australia included.
Wow.
And that was from a culture that myself, a couple other guys, Will Weaver, a bunch of other coaches helped instill, and they let me lead that, and they let me believe that this was the right thing, and they backed me. And that courage and confidence they gave me enough to keep pushing each day. And like I said, I got to that one day and I was like, holy shit, I don't know if I'm going to get one. You think about it all the time. You just want it so bad. And you think, have I done everything? You get that call and I swear to God, it is the greatest accomplishment and feeling you'll ever have that resonates with you for the rest of your life. And I'll remember that moment, the goosebumps. I'll remember everything about that room that I lived in at that one moment for the rest of my life.
Wow.
How inspirational is Joey Wright to you?
Oh, I mean, he's every bit of the reason why I'm here. I mean, without Joey, I wouldn't have been able to get through a lot of what I got through. He was the guy that you could call at 1 a.m. and be like, man, I need to go and shoot. He'd go and open the gym. He's the kind of guy you could call at 2 a.m. and be like, hey, I've had too many tequila shots. Can you pick me up and take me home? He'd come get you, take you home.
Wow.
And he'd be the first one in with you the next morning working your ass off. And he was like, as long as you come in and work, I'll always be there for you. Now, we care about each other more than basketball. We have a deeper relationship than that. And I called him. He was one of the first people I called when I got my contract. And he was leaving to go somewhere, and he literally started crying on the phone. Now, I'm sorry, Joey, if you're trying to keep that a secret, but I have a screenshot of you crying. So you think I want to use that? I can slip that one away. But no, like, I literally have so much time and respect for him. Now, he rubs people the wrong way sometimes. He gets out of you what you don't know you have in you. And he did that with me. One of the first things he said was, you are good enough to play for the Boomers, and you are good enough to play over in Europe and potentially in America in the NBA if you knew what you were capable of. And I didn't at the time. And he helped me understand and realise that. He unlocked that. And it wasn't just him, it was a team of people. Angela Powell was one of the sports psychs that I went to. Dean Evans at Leading Minds Australia, who I spend a lot of time with now, even still. Those are the people and the time I gave my family, my loved ones, my friends, relationships I've been in, people all around have helped me get there, but he is at the top of the tree. And without him, this wouldn't have happened.
The Timberwolves brought you over from the other side of the country. They didn't bring someone up from their G League team at that point. They brought you from the other side of the country, which I think said a lot. And I understand there's a bit of an ongoing relationship with them now. What do the next few months look like for you with the Timberwolves?
So I basically go back, following weekend. I haven't actually got my flights booked, but, Coach Ryan was like, look, we're going to bring you back in. We want you in early. We see you here as a long-term, influence of the club. So he sees the belief in me, and he has the belief in me to bring me in early enough to help build culture, to lead, to do the right things, and to make that club even more elite than it is. Now, my time in Brooklyn was very and vastly different to Minnesota, so I learned a lot of things from Brooklyn that I can help bring across there. A lot of things that I noticed that can be helpful and insightful. I spoke about in my exit interview, and certain things they were very shocked to hear, and I was like, I'm gonna be honest. You want me to help build your club? I don't have a guaranteed contract, but here's what I know. And they were very appreciative of that. So I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna work my absolute ass off. I will do everything I can to be the most elite professional and valuable piece I can be to that organization. I left and I was a very, very respected person leaving. I left my mark on everyone, from the hotel receptionist to my Uber driver from the airport, to the assistant that rebounded shots for me every day, to the coach, to every single player. I've made sure I left my mark and my imprint. So I'll go back, do Summer League, wait and see what happens. I may find out tomorrow, I may find out in 3 months, I may find out one day before NBL tips off with South East Melbourne. But I will find out eventually, and I'll be able to make a conscious decision then. But right now, flip a coin, whatever it's going to be, it'll be.
You mentioned South East Melbourne because they're in a situation of signing as their marquee player, and a lot of the marketing, the promotion is centred around you and your wonderful story, but also on court, building a good squad. What's the ongoing conversation? Because as you touched on, it might be a day before the NBL season starts where Minnesota or Brooklyn or an NBA team says, look, yes or no. Is there some type of date where Tommy Greer and Simon Mitchell and the crew at South East Melbourne are going to say, we kind of need to have an idea to try and replace you? Or is it just an ongoing thing and we're going to ride this thing out till it's done?
Honestly, that's decisions for them to make. We've spoken and we are on the same page. Now, what we decide to do will stay between us.
Yep.
But ideally, as soon as day one starts there, like we have our team locked in, everyone will get a message, everyone will get a, this is where we're at. We will devise a plan to build the right culture around the playing group that we have, which is the right playing group right now. We have a talented ass team. People might look at us and be like, first year, you shouldn't do that great. If you get, you make finals, oh, that's great. I want to win every single scenario, from training to shooting games to, on the bus to training to anywhere. Who can eat the faster pasta 1 kilo challenge the quickest? I don't care what it is, I will instill a winning culture there and competitiveness that is absolutely infectious and contagious. And from that, if I end up going to America, I will be on the phone every day or two to Simon and to Ian and to Tommy and Romy. What's going on? How are we here? I will speak to Gibbo, who's one of the greatest leaders in this league and Australia. I will be on everyone's ass about being professional and elite, being courteous and on time, making sure everything is a winning culture. Because culture is built from day dot, second dot, before you even walk in. I will be there first, I will be there last. I will make sure it's done the right way. So it doesn't matter where I'm playing. If I play in America, fantastic. If I play in South East Melbourne, it's going to be the exact same. It's going to be dependent on whether I'm on FaceTime, on the call, on the text, on Instagram, on Snapchat. Whatever it is, I will make sure I leave the professionalism that I think needs to be held at the absolute highest and utmost there. That's my whole job.
What is the status, though, of your NBA out? Do you need a full contract? Can you get a two-way? Can you do the G League route that you just did this last year?
I'll need a full contract.
Okay.
So, but I backed myself and I said, look, I'm the marquee player. It was something we both agreed on very quickly and very easily. The whole process with South East Melbourne has been tremendous. It's been such a breeze. It hasn't impacted me at all. Haven't had to think about anything more than for 10 seconds and make an easy decision. But it's just a full contract, or I go there and we compete to be one of the greatest teams this league will ever see.
What does it mean for the Boomers as well? Of course, World Cup and 2 games in your home state against the USA in front of a packed Marvel Stadium in front of 55,000. What does it mean for you Boomers? Your idea, I guess, are you putting your hand up to, are you available, or do you have any idea what's going to happen?
My hand would never be put down for a Boomers selection, ever. You'll have to cut my arms off not to have a hand up in that.
So you come back from Boomers camp leading into the World Cup outside the NBA?
Ideally, I would love to be at every single Boomers event that is held for the next 92 years. That's saying I'm living a long time, so I'll be better eating healthy. But start doing some more sit-ups or something.
More.
But I want to be available for that. Now, depending on what happens with America, I don't know. They might say, yep, we're signing you, great, you're going to be here for 10 years, $150 million. But if not, and it's, hey, you're not going to be a part of it, then I might be available. If I'm a part of it, they might say, look, we want you to be here. We feel that we need you here right now. Absolutely no worries at all. I'm with you 100% of the way. Now, Minnesota's one team. I can go to Summer League, and I think the respect I earned this year in the G League separates my last 2 Summer Leagues to this one. And people don't look at me and go, oh, who's that crazy white guy that looks like a linebacker that is running around hooping? They go, that's Mitch Creek. He had 3 10 days, got signed to Minnesota and had a great G League season and led that team to one of the greatest single season performances of Nets history. But then I think that's where I get my benefit from it this time around, because I was there, I know everyone, I know the coaches, I know the players. Before that, they would just look at me like, who's this crazy Aussie white guy? So I think it's a little bit different now. All
right, we'll get a bit more from Mitch Creek in a moment. First of all, just eyes around the rest of the NBL, and NBL.com.au, the best place for Liam Santa Maria as well. Get the latest
so many
news.
more questions for Creek.
We'll get back to Creek. Firstly, though, let's just knock a couple of things out, because you did write the article Monday morning. It went live Monday morning, and then within hours, a couple of things got announced. So you're 100% on the money. Tell us what you're hearing. Of course, Rob Lowe and Sam Froling have found homes, but I want to ask you,
Toby
there.
Smith
Yeah, Toby Smith-Milner today announced. We'll start with Sam Froling because obviously
He's legit.
Homicide loves him.
To the league. Yeah, I think it's a great signing. And I love what Illawarra have put together and are putting together. They're going the youth movement, and under their circumstances as a smaller market club, sometimes that's what you got to do when other teams are zagging and they're signing the big name veteran stars to big money. You zig and you grab the up and coming youngsters, and they've got Nar on a multi-year deal. They've got Greeter on the second year of his deal this year. Blanchfield, he's a little bit more experienced, but again, he's a guy whose career is continued to be on the rise, and this is another one of those kind of pickups. It's a 3-year deal, but of course, signing this deal makes him an automatic entrant into the 2020 NBA draft. Now, just like his older brother, that's his goal and his plan. So we'll see how that plays out. But certainly this coming season, he'll be a part of the Hawks, and I think it's a great pickup for them.
Another guy's playing particularly well for Dandenong in the NBL 1 comp, and I believe that you might have bumped into him at a 3x3 a couple of weeks ago in Geelong Homicide and gave him a little talking to.
I had no idea it was him.
Just a long-haired lad.
It was like 3 of them, and I'm like, I got to find somebody to talk to. I'm like, these guys are right here. I might as well talk to them. So how's it going today? I was talking to him. I had no idea.
Matt Kenyon.
It was just 3 tall young guys. I said, well, let me just talk to these 3 guys. They look interesting. Had no idea it was Sam.
But the Hawks got in there. I mean, we called for it. Obviously, Cairns were in conversation. It was a few different teams were interested. And do you like the fact the Hawks swooped in?
I like it. You know, I love Nar. I love Greta. And with him adding to the young bunch, it'll be a great place for him to fit in and do well. So, good luck to him this season.
It'll be interesting if his brother's in the league and they go head-to-head, like in the backyard.
Rob Lowe, of course, conversation around the last couple of weeks about where he's going to go, and of course wanted to head back to New Zealand for personal reasons, and that's exactly where he's found himself.
Yeah, and that's that's not too surprising, is it, after he was released from that deal in New Zealand? But I think that's the more interesting part. Released from his deal in Cairns. That's the more interesting part for me. He's signed to a multi-year deal there, and for whatever reason, he wanted out and he wanted to go back to New Zealand, and that puts the Taipans in a bit of a tough spot. Losing him, losing Trimble, Outen retiring, so on and so forth. So it's a good pickup for the Breakers. Add to their depth. Obviously, they lost Ty Wesley, so bringing Lowe in is a nice little recovery for them. But what does it mean for the Taipans having him opt out of, or sort of ask out of that deal? It's not a great situation for them.
I personally think that he has to bounce back. He did not have a good year at all. So maybe sometimes as a player, you're not comfortable being away. You know what I mean? So maybe going back home would be the best thing for him. So I look forward to him having a better season, because the year before he played really well at home with New Zealand. So I think he'll have a better season.
2 major questions right now. One is around Cam Bairstow, who we've spoken about it, and in my opinion, I think a lot of people would probably agree, had a really good year this year for Brisbane. Still not signed, and we've spoken about it on this show a couple of times. Is it just the fact that it might be a little less money? Of course, Nathan Sobey there, and salary cap might be eating up a little more than it was 12 months ago. Where does he feel when it comes to the imports? What are you hearing around Cam Bairstow?
Not much.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet. Creaky might be hearing a little bit, perhaps. I'm not. There are obviously a few teams around that need a starting power forward, but there's obviously also a whole bunch of teams in Europe that Cam Bairstow could potentially end up at. And we said a few weeks ago that the longer this goes, it makes it feel more and more likely that he'll land back in Brisbane. But no, I've reached out to him, trying to get in touch and waiting to hear back. And hopefully we hear more word on him soon.
There's nothing worse when you see "seen" read on the text machine and then fly back. It flatters me, believe me. And all right, so I wasn't here last week, and Sean Long set the NBL, at least the social media world, on fire when he went and announced that he's going to be joining Melbourne United. Vince Crivelli was on Melbourne Radio last week, 11:16 SEN, saying that while we are discussing, there's been no deal signed.
Yep.
One, I can't believe you did NBL overtime last week without me. I just assumed you'd cancel the show, but I was surprised when I see him pop up. But 2, what are you hearing around Sean Long?
Well, we're just hearing what Sean Long's telling us,
Well,
and then deleting.
Well,
Well, right now...
You're on a text relationship with him, so tell us.
Yeah, right now, mum's the word. We're just waiting for...
So you are in the agency game?
No, not where. We're just waiting to see what's going to happen. The ink, needs to dry, and we'll see in the next couple of days. I'll put it like this. Next week this time, I'll have a definite answer of what's going on.
Well, where will he be?
The expectation, of course, is that he's going to end up in Melbourne, right? And they're just going through the process of finalising the deal. Creaky, what do you think about that signing?
I mean, I obviously woke up or Twitter was in a frenzy and crashed my Apple iPhone. It's horrible and needs to be used as a discus. But literally, to have someone be so close to signing, have a verbal, have a heads of agreement, or whatever it is, you have to be so careful. Social media, digital media, everything these days that's where the money's at. That's where people make mistakes, and it's apparent in every single league. So to see it, to hear the whispers that he was going somewhere else, then to see that happen, then get deleted, then everyone screenshot it and post it again, you just didn't. You should have just left it.
Right.
It's a difficult situation. That could cost him 50 grand. It could cost him, who knows what it could cost him.
Yeah.
But
let's imagine it ends up that he's playing for Melbourne. What do you think about that signing for them?
I think it's great. I mean, he's a talented player. He finishes at a high level. He's an absolute dog. He works his ass off. He's great around the bucket. I watch guys and I look for deficiencies. And no matter who it is or where it is in the world, no matter how talented you are, someone has something that isn't as good as their other 5 skills. So he falls in the same boat. He has his deficiencies. He's going to be great in Melbourne. I know he's going to be used, very smartly and very wisely. That's what Melbourne do with players. So it makes them even more dangerous than they were before.
3x3. Might look at the Australians who both qualified for the World Cup over the course of the weekend. And you two boys have been so much a part of it in Melbourne, then Geelong, and then to Darwin. And now the Australians have qualified for a World Cup. Exciting times, and you'd be losing. Mick Cole was outstanding, which means you'd have been losing your mind.
Look, I just think it was great because we had them in our backyard. You know what I mean? So for us to see the two teams that won in Puerto Rico and qualified for World Cup, we saw how great they were in the 3 legs in Melbourne, Geelong and Darwin. So for us to see them right here win, it's just a great feeling. It really is.
And Tim Conrad is so perfect. We said it, you tweeted it the other day, so perfect for the 3x3 format. He's got that strength and the ability to make plays and shoots the absolute piss out of it. And then on the flip side, this women's team dominated, went completely undefeated, and the men won their final game to qualify. It was going to be them or the Czech Republic, whoever won that last game. And they got through, and they'll be going to Amsterdam. And it's actually, not only does it get us into the World Cup, but it's also crucial in terms of getting to the Olympics. So it's a really good result. This was the win that that the men got to get them in.
I'm really happy that with this avenue, with 3-on-3, obviously we all know it's an Olympic sport next year. But the fact that the men, particularly, these are guys that would never have an opportunity to represent their country for Boomers. So for them to be able to represent their country right here on this 3x3 platform and actually do well in it, I'm just happy for them. And that's why this 3x3 platform, I love it.
We just moved on from the NBL off-season shenanigans, though. Something I want to flag.
Got a text, have you?
I'm a little worried about what might be going on over in New Zealand right now.
Go on.
Well, there's been speculation kind of bubbling throughout the off-season about their coaching situation and whether Kevin Braswell has the full support of their ownership group. 1 year into a 3-year deal, 2+1. So, I don't know, call that what you want, a 2-year deal.
2-year deal. Anything that says plus whatever is what it is before.
Ignore the plus.
Ignore the plus.
There's no plus. All right, but this next year was fully guaranteed, and I'm not sure whether it is anymore. And for a club that was, for a long time, along with Perth, the most stable club in the NBL, Paul Henare, Kevin Braswell, Vacona's gone, Pledge is gone. I don't think it is that anymore.
This all started when you ruined Kevin Braswell's birthday.
When's his birthday?
Remember this? We started an NBL overtime, and we spoke about the body language in Cans.
Oh yes.
And then they had
we were all talking about it.
Oh, now you want to throw me in it?
He got all these goals. And Kevin Braswell had to go in and run a meeting on his birthday.
Wow.
Remember? And since then, it's been all downhill.
Watch this space.
Okay.
Watch this
All right,
space.
before we do get out of here, hashtag NBL overtime, hashtag NBL off-season, hashtag NBL 20 to get involved, hashtag do better, see incredible, whatever, stay vibed. What's your latest hashtag, Kerry?
I have nothing new right
Nothing?
now.
Okay.
I have nothing
One
right
more
now.
question for you.
Fire away.
Creaky. What do the Sydney Kings have in Will Weaver?
Oh, you've got an absolute gold mine and 1,000 walls that are going to work overtime. Like, he is literally, he will re-transform the way that club works, not just from an IQ sense, but from a standpoint of he's a great bloke, he cares for his players, but he gets the best out of his groups. And look, he's analytics based, something I learned a lot about while I was away, but he's just a guy that he will find the situation with whoever he has there, and right now he's got a very nice team. I know he's speaking to certain guys that I've tried to speak to, because then I hear about that, and we're obviously trying to, build for our clubs. But then, he came to me and told me, hey, look, this is what's going on in Sydney. This is what I've kind of got on offer. What do you think? And he posed me with a question, and he was like, then the next question was, so what's your thing with Melbourne? So look, I have so much time and love for that man.
Yeah.
No matter when he calls, I will always answer his phone. No matter what he needs, I will fly to the other side of the world to help him. You've just got a guy that's going to build a great club and a very winning culture, and he's going to have a team behind him with so much talent. It's going to be scary, because I know what he did for our team, and that was probably the hardest team he's probably had to coach in a long time, or probably ever. So now he's got a bunch of good veteran guys. If Bogues goes back as well.
You hear that?
Whoa,
If. See, he doesn't watch overtime.
Come on, Creek.
He don't know. If Bogues go, thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
I thought that would have been like something you would have already talked about.
We did.
talked about it.
And everybody disagrees with me. I'm so happy you're here.
Are you an if like?
I'm like, if. I'm like, I don't think he's coming back.
He's coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, hell broke
And then going
loose.
back again.
Thank you.
And then going back again.
No.
Yes, sir.
Talk
How
to
much
him, Mitch.
time we have left?
We
I
can
don't
keep going.
care. But one thing that I noticed was when he came back, he'd been injured for too long.
Yep.
He'd had inconsistency with just playing healthy. Now, everyone knows that the impact Bogues had on that championship. He's probably one of the main factors why they won that championship when he was there. Without him and his ability to pass, screen, and defend, they wouldn't have been as successful. Now, they might have still won it, but without him, I think he is the tipping point for them. Like, he made them so much better. Now, whether he plays 1 minute or 48 minutes, he will help any team he goes to. He went over there healthy, and literally everyone went, what the hell did he just do? Now,
So do that again. Run that over again.
Every NBA team right now has just gone, oh my God, Andrew Bogut came back and
back.
looks great. Now, everyone's going to look at what happened when he was healthy, see he's healthy in this final series. He'll probably win a damn championship again. And then every other NBA team is going to be like, here is a big fat check.
This is Corey.
My job is done. Yo, listen.
Oh, my
have a
job
good
is
day.
done.
I'm done.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, sir. You said everything I said. I'm
You know
out here.
what? We still
I
don't
am
agree with
gone.
you.
I'm going.
Hey, actually,
I'm going.
You're in the chair.
I'm out.
see you,
I'm out
buddy.
here. Gentlemen, y'all have a good day. Mitch Creek, thank you
Kerry
very
has left the
much.
building. We're out of here as well. Hey, thank you, man.
No worries.
Appreciate
Really
your time as always. Good luck,
Good luck,
going
man.
forward.
Thanks, mate. Good
From
luck.
Liam Santa Maria and Cam Luke, and of course Kerry Homicide Williams, who he actually can't work out how to use the door, so he's got to stay for a moment or two. We're out of here. We'll see you next week. It has been NBL Overtime.